first escape everyone tries. It's the second escape people try.
Oh boy.
Third way. Give up, frog. I have Netflix account with search keywords prison escape. I have seen every prison movie ever made, even the ones in space.
Hey, wait a second. That's them. That's my friends.
Dominic Bad Guy. An interview with the brains behind the Muppets Triumphant Comeback World Tour.
What?
Okay, kids, I showed you this movie clip because I wanted to talk about the gulags, or the work camps that Stalin will create in the Soviet Union. So Stalin comes to power in the Soviet Union by 1928. He's going to rule for 25 years. He's one of the most influential, most important people of the 20th century in terms of history. Now, Lenin didn't necessarily want Stalin to take over, but Lenin does take over. And I think what's really interesting is this movie clip talks about these work camps. So, you know, this Muppet movie is a play upon these gulags or work camps, and Kermit is sent there by a mistaken identity with Constantine. But this map in your textbook is showing all these different labor camps. So a gulag labor camp is not a concentration camp run by Hitler during World War II, but I can't say the conditions are really much better than would have been in the concentration camps. You know, the concentrations were for labor, some were extermination camps, but for the Soviet Union, you had these gulags or work camps. So when you crossed the Soviet leader, you would be sent to a gulag or work camp. Now this map is interesting, and that's showing you the huge size of the Soviet Union in yellow. It's showing you there's lots of camps. There must be about 50 camps listed here, all across the Soviet Union. I want you to understand. So Stalin uses these camps. He uses violence and terror to intimidate these peoples and control them. So he very much ran what I would call a totalitarian state. So he had complete control over almost all elements of his society. The other thing I want us to look at here today deals with his economic policy. So this is a little bit tricky, but Karl Marx has a theory of what should happen in terms of economics. And we'll see this theory really altered or adjusted under Stalin's interpretation of communism in the Soviet Union. So what we have here is talking about, you know, Stalin's economic plan. Now he called his economic plan a 5-year plan. That's the title of this graph, which is important. It's not tricky. He has an economic plan. He calls it a 5-year plan. He has several of these 5-year plans. And with that, he's going to control the economy. He wants to really put a lot of money, as this right-hand side of the map will show you, he wants to put a lot of money into industry. Because, of course, the Soviets were behind. The USSR was behind in terms of the Industrial Revolution. They are not very progressive agriculturally. It's not producing a lot. You can see there is some increase of wheat production, great increase of corn production, but some increase of wheat production. The Soviet Union, or Stalin's plans, included putting money into heavy industry and also into farming, or he's going to force the farmers to collectivize. You can see on the right-hand side then a nice bar graph comparing, you know, per capita GDP, gross domestic product. How much are they producing per person in the country? So this is the average income in 1928, 29, 30, 31, 32. Now, the American money is going down. That's because we're in the middle of the Great Depression. The Soviets are hit by the Great Depression, but not nearly as hard as we are because they're just not industrialized. So Stalin has an economic policy, and his economic policy will be called the 5-year plan. His 5-year plan that focused upon putting a lot of money into heavy industry, and he will industrialize the Soviet Union. He does a remarkable job, but there's a price, and the price would refer to the number of people that die for his economic policy. So you look at the left-hand side of this chart. Again, this is in your textbook. When the people questioned Stalin, when they questioned his use his taking their grain and how much he's paying them. He questions. He uses terror and he just kills those who question him. So you can see, the number of deaths are very great by 1933. And there's a movie about this, which I haven't seen, but I think the Canadians created a movie. But the whole point is Stalin will use terror, and he'll kill people, particularly who question his economic policies or didn't believe his political ideas. Where did he send them? He sent them to a gulag, or a work camp.